Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most critical issues for any leader who's deploying AI, and that's explainability. Now, this isn't just some technical challenge for your data science team. It's a fundamental business issue that lands squarely on your desk. So, let's just start with a simple thought experiment. Imagine your doctor hands you a prescription, but can't actually explain why you need it. Or maybe a bank rejects your loan application and just shrugs when you ask for the reason. You wouldn't accept that, would you? Of course not. You'd demand to know the why behind the decision. Well, guess what? Every single time your AI makes a critical decision, whether it's about a customer, an employee, or a financial outcome, it faces that exact same question. And the thing is, we don't know is just not an acceptable answer anymore. All right, to really get a handle on this, we first need to get our vocabulary straight. You see, in the world of AI, there are two words that get thrown around a lot, almost interchangeably, but they mean very different things: transparency and explainability. And understanding this distinction, well, it's the first crucial step. Think of it this way. Transparency is all about disclosure. It's kind of like a car manufacturer telling you the engine specs and all the parts they used. It answers the what. What is the system made of? Explainability, on the other hand, is about the reasoning. That's the mechanic telling you why your car broke down by pointing to a specific faulty part. You see the difference? One's the blueprint, the other's the diagnosis. And here's a perfect example of how this plays out in a business context. A transparent statement tells you the ingredients. Hey, we used a neural network and we trained it on these data points, which is, good information to have, but it's not enough. The explainable statement gives you the actionable reason. Your application was declined because your debt-to-income ratio is too high. One is just a description, the other is a reason. And as a manager, you're the one who has to deliver that reason. Okay, so now let's talk about the real-world stakes here. This isn't just some philosophical debate. A lack of explainability is a serious and, frankly, growing source of both legal and reputational risk for businesses. Regulators are moving incredibly fast on this. The EU's GDPR already gives people a right to explanation. The new EU AI Act, it doubles down on this for any system that's considered high risk. And it's not just in Europe. We're seeing specific laws pop up, like New York City's rule for AI hiring tools that flat out demand explanations. The message from governments is crystal clear. If your AI impacts people's lives, you better be able to explain how. So the crucial point is this: you have a choice. You can design this capability into your systems right now, or you can be forced to scramble and retrofit it later when the regulators come knocking. And I can promise you that second option is always more painful and more expensive. So what actually happens when this goes wrong in the real world? I mean, this isn't theoretical stuff. The Apple Card launch back in 2019 is a perfect case study in the kind of reputational fallout that comes from an unexplainable algorithm. So here's what went down. Some really prominent tech figures started reporting on social media that the algorithm was giving them way higher credit limits than their spouses, even when they had shared assets. The immediate suspicion? Gender bias. And because the system was a total black box, the bank couldn't just produce a clear, data-backed explanation for why these decisions were made. The lesson here is so powerful. Even if your AI is totally fair, if you can't prove it's fair by explaining its outputs, you can't defend it. Not in the court of public opinion, and certainly not in a real one. And this brings us to a core strategic dilemma that pretty much every manager faces when choosing an AI model. There's often a direct trade-off between how well a model performs and how easily you can understand what it's doing. On one side of the spectrum, you have models like decision trees. We call them glass box models because you can literally see right inside and trace the logic step by step. They're naturally explainable. But on the other side, you've got the heavy hitters, deep neural networks. These are the black boxes. They can achieve absolutely incredible accuracy on really complex problems, but their reasoning is hidden across millions of different parameters. It's opaque. This chart just visualizes that tension perfectly. As you move toward those more complex black box models to chase higher and higher accuracy, you often have to sacrifice that built-in explainability. Your job as a manager isn't just to pick the most accurate model, period. It's to pick the right model for the job, balancing that raw performance with the need to actually understand its decisions. So how do you make that choice? Well, you use a risk-based approach. It's that simple. If the AI is recommending a movie on a streaming service, the stakes are super low. Go for accuracy, no problem. But if it's helping with a medical diagnosis or a major credit decision, the consequences of an unexplainable error are enormous. For those high-risk applications, explainability isn't just a nice feature to have, it's an absolute requirement.
Okay, so we've covered the concepts, we've talked about the risks. Now let's get practical. How do you actually build this capability into your organization? Here is a straightforward action plan you can use. This framework breaks it all down into 4 really manageable steps. First up, risk assessment. You've got to map out your AI systems and classify them by their impact. Not every system needs the same level of intense scrutiny. Second, technique selection. Based on that risk level, you select your tools. For low-risk stuff, a simple glass box model might be perfect. But for your high-performance black boxes, you'll need what we call post-hoc methods. These are tools that kind of probe the model after the fact to figure out which inputs were most important for a specific decision. Third, interface design. This is so crucial. The explanation you give to an internal auditor is going to look very different from one for a customer. For a customer, you might give a counterfactual explanation. So instead of just denied, you say, you were denied because your credit score was X. If your score had been Y, you would have been approved. See? That's actionable. And finally, number 4, governance. This can't be an ad hoc thing. You have to build it into your risk management framework, document everything, and establish really clear human-in-the-loop processes for those most critical decisions. If you take away only one thing today, please let it be this. Explainability is not an add-on. It has to be designed into your AI projects from day one. Trying to bolt it on at the end, it's like trying to add a foundation to a house that's already built. It's hard, it's expensive, and a lot of the time, it just doesn't work very well. So I'll just leave you with this one question to take back to your teams. The next time your AI makes a decision that affects a customer's life or your company's bottom line, are you going to be able to answer the question, why? Your ability to answer that confidently, that's the true measure of trustworthy AI.